Now, for Snoop to say him and Michael Harris are doing something together as a team, that tells you a lot of, I'm disappointed.
Yet again now for Sneak to say Kay and Michael Harris is accomplishing something altogether that lets you know a ton of I'm frustrated, in that in the event that you need for me, you actually be in jail, you realize that exemplary aphorism about how deceptions can course unendingly yet, eventually reality bursts through the veneer. Well, think about what the 9th of November 2023 may very well stamp. The enthusiastically expected second late reports have quite recently uncovered that they've caught the culprit behind Tupac's disastrous end. Embrace yourselves, since apparently the spotlight may be restricting in on Sneak Homie. To how on the grounds that Suge Knight's case is accounted for to be returned, so what you mean when you say what you mean when you say that you he'd in any case be in jail, since when Sneak got sentenced for the homicide Suge Knight, has reemerged with extra disclosures about the inward functions of the Nine's West Coast hip-bound scene. The most recent portion of Gather Call with Suge Knight, broadcast on November 9th through Dave May's Breakbeat Media, dives into how the previous Death Row Records head professes to have saved Sneak K9 from a potential life sentence. They shoot fellow had chance in his shop. And Queso presently, they got a battle for near Knight strikingly stated, if not for me Sneak would in any case be in jail doing life, as he described the occasions prompting the scandalous preliminary in 1993 Sneak Homeboy, and his previous guardian Malik had to deal with first and second degree M penalties connected with the demise of Philip, minimal Smoothwellum Merriam in Los Angeles. Specifying the legitimate system Knight Rec called an essential second, the attorney said, well, the protector has a 9mm, so we can't say he safeguarded Sneak, and shot the person Sneak had a 380. I said, we'll be effed assuming the protector had a 380, and Sneak had a 9mm, and he had chance with a 380 right. He had chance with a 9mm, yet since Sneak had the 380. And the Guardian had a 9mm, and he had chance with a 380. All the Guardian got to say is he was involving 380 slows in his 9mm night. Kept on making sense of his mediation, professing to have burned through $6 million to take care of potential issues. This included settling an extortion endeavor inside Sneak Circle in any event, meeting with a confidential examiner to put any misinformation to rest as per Knight. This intercession prompted the obliteration of a supposed implicating tape he recorded him. I heard it for myself. The person needed to make a move. He got some bread, he annihilated the tape. And that is something Suge Knight has raised worries about the authenticity of Sneak K9's command over Death Row Records, recommending that the rapper obtained responsibility for name through sketchy means in a sound recording delivered by Teonzi in April of 2023 Knight, who is as of now detained, talked about Sneak's job as the proprietor and president of Death Row. As per Knight, Sneak's stake in the name is connected to a supposed crook act, including both Sneak and Michael Harris, an indicted drug top dog, and an underlying monetary ally of Death Row Records. Assuming that you take a gander at it, they perpetrated extortion, they carried out bank ray extortion. I didn't lose my organization by doing anything wrong. They went in, and a lawyer appear, and they got a default judgment when provoked for his viewpoint on Sneak's possession. Knight communicated uncertainty about whether Sneak is the right flunner of the mark that acquired conspicuousness during the Nine's night, proceeded to blame Harris for participating in liquidation misrepresentation, a disclosure he guarantees he and his lawful group found simply 7 days preceding the recorded call. Sneak has an accomplice, which is Michael Harris. Right, the 58-year-old told the power source, assuming you take a gander at it, they perpetrated Chapter 11 misrepresentation. I didn't lose my organization by doing anything wrong. They went in, and the attorney didn't appear, and they got default judgment. I settled the judgment. They pivoted and said I didn't settle the judgment. Night. unequivocally attests that the offer of death row was unlawful, as well as a wrongdoing blaming Harris' significant other and lawful group for intentionally partaking in the deceitful exercises originating from the 95 liquidation guarantee as per Knight. When they sought financial protection, they expressly denied any association with death row, and he demands that their attorney was completely mindful of the duplicity. Yet they carried out bankruptcy extortion, which we just figured out last week when they power bankruptcy in 95 they said didn't have anything to do with Darrow, anything proceeding with his contention. Knight stresses the legitimate disparities encompassing the deal and securing of death row records, considering Harris' past liquidation recording. He energetically contends against compensating somebody he sees as having perpetrated a grave wrongdoing against individuals of color by endeavoring to move possession from them to white people. Knight solidly accepts that he and death row are indivisible, communicating his assurance to recover the name he assumed a urgent part in building statement. You can't take an individual who carried out the most terrible wrongdoing of the 100 years to take death row from individuals of color to attempt to give it to white individuals, he said, and believe you will pivot and reward, and say he will get Sneak. And he will go get it back and have death row. It don't work like that. So in the event that we will discuss something, how about we discuss it, regardless of Sneak K9's declaration in February 2022 that he had gained death row records through an arrangement with Make Music Bunch. Knight stayed resolute about his case to the name he pronounced statement, I'm death row Schneid, is death row flagging his steady assurance to hold his association with a name he assumed a vital part in building. And you can't perpetrate bankruptcy and settle and do those sort of things. So a similar person you'll find in the series when you see all his testimony in jail in February 2022. It was declared that Sneak had procured death row records in an arrangement with M&K Music Bunch anyway. The conditions of the arrangement were undisclosed. Sneak put out an announcement responding to the news, which denoted a round-trip second in the rap legend's renowned lifetime, quote, I'm excited and keen to the chance to get the notorious and socially huge Death Row Records brand, which has colossal undiscovered future worth, shared the gin and squeeze rapper. It feels far better to have responsibility for Mark. I was a piece of toward the start of my vocation. And as one of the establishing individuals, this is a very significant second for me. I might want to buy and by thank the groups at Blackstone Mech, and particularly David Kessenbaum, who worked cooperatively with me north of a while to make this thrilling homecoming of the truth I'm anticipating building the following section of Death Row Records. Anyway, Sneak has likewise himself uncovered that he once got away from an assault by Death Row and wound up in prison on wagers. No restriction narrative. Sneak K9 related a nerve-wracking episode when he barely got away from an assault by people faithful to the then Death Row record chief Suge Knight. This occurrence unfurled behind the stage at the No Restriction Records I Got the Hookup satire jam in Los Angeles in May of 1998. Sneak, who had as of late left from Death Row for No Restricted Records, wound up stood up to by Knight's partners over remarks he had made about Knight. When gotten some information about Knight's comment that Sneak had changed from being a wise to a no-restriction fighter, Sneak answered with a compact nothing-adding statement. He used to be a president. Currently, he's a detainee. Sneak coordinated a center finger at the camera, apparently focused on evening during the showdown behind the stage. Sneak was encircled by Knight's partners, who demanded he owed Knight a conciliatory sentiment. When Sneak's reaction didn't fulfill them, an actual quarrel resulted. Sneak figured out how to escape sound yet disarray, ejected the other no-restriction rappers, including expert PE, stopped their dramatic execution to hurry to Sneak around's help. It resembles my canine is on like quiet down sit in the midst of the unrest, with discharges on the tune playing behind the scenes. The uninformed crowd added to the disarray, prompting a mob in spite of sidestepping the assault. Sneak's Knight veered off in another strange direction, attempting to save himself. Sneak coincidentally experienced policing, found him in his control he was bound, and set toward the rear of a squad car. He said, "Statement, I moved away. No cuts, no scars, no hits, no nothing," Sneak expressed. "Except for I run squarely into the law, with weed in my pocket. And all that since I'm attempting